Tartaria, a location that we are shown on maps that predate our current civilization. Tartaria, a location that has been kept quiet from all of us within the education systems all over the world. A location that we can clearly see is Russia on a modern day map, with a population of around 4 million people today. Located within Russia's walls, there is a location today that is called Tatarstan, officially the Republic of Tatarstan, and sometimes called Tartaria, where they just removed the R. And this is just the beginning. Wait until you see what is still standing in this location today. But first, I think that their coat of arms needs to be exposed. We know that Tartaria's flag depicted a griffin. We can zoom in here on it and get a better look. As we go back to the historical coat of arms of this location, of Tatarstan, we see their seal from 1672. And of course, changed to this in 1856. And once 1920 hit, the process of removing the old world, the previous civilization, was in full swing. And this became their new seal, showing their hammers and chisels and a logo that some will recognize very well. A takeover worldwide, the Republic of Tatarstan with their griffin seal. It's very interesting. It is a part of the Volga Federal District, which we have discussed in previous episodes. Now I'm going to drop the guy down in their city. We clearly have homes that are found from the old world and are being repurposed. We have the old brick being exposed, as we obviously don't properly maintain these structures. Flipping this camera view around, we can see that the windows are down here by the ground. I believe that these houses are much deeper under the mud. These houses are over the top, all the way down the street. These people, us, we were placed into the old world's work and are just occupying it there. Could you even imagine how incredible this area once looked? And remember, this is just one road. Just wait until you see the rest. Let's continue down the road, and you can see, fenced off here, we have an old world structure that has gotten a new paint job clearly. This is the Nicholas Cathedral, with a historical narrative showing that there was, of course, a previous church here on this site, telling us that in 1565, there once stood a wooden church. 1565, knowing the exact date of the wooden church, telling us that the current temple, judging by its architectural forms and decor, was maybe built in the middle of the 17th century. Please tell me how they know the exact date of a church that isn't there, a wooden church. And they don't know the date of the current church. It is complete nonsense in my opinion. A very bad lie, showing that the truth is not being told to us about this location. And this is when we go deeper. If I just knock my house down and I build a new one, and then 500 years from now, like we're being told, they know the exact date that my first house was built, but not the second one. So I need some feedback here. Are we all on the same page that this is insane? Let me know in the comments. So we're just getting started here. I want to show you this location. You can see how old everything is. And hiding behind this tree, we have the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral, located in Kazan, the capital of the Russian Republic of Tatarstan. They give us this long story about how the emperor arrived after mastering the sea, celebrating his 50th birthday with the guys, having a 3-day feast, having such a great time. Might as well build a cathedral while we're at it to honor this event. Why not? So the cathedral, of course, had a prior cathedral, because these stories are clearly written by an AI. And I think we can confidently say that at this point. All over the world, we get the same structural narrative. So they knock out the cathedral in just 4 years. In the early 1700s, And the computer cannot forget to throw the destruction story right into the narrative. When shortly after the building was done, it suddenly collapsed. So, of course, being the guy that he is, the Tsar sent his own craftsmen and architects to complete the cathedral. We have no idea where any of the materials came from. We have no clue who these men were. We have no idea who the architects were, and they will forever be a mystery. But I'm just so thankful that we know all about the 50th birthday party they had and the 3-day feast. That kind of information just distracts me. I love it when they throw the backstories in there, so I never have to focus on who actually builds the palaces. No. To prove that this is a worldwide operation, and this is an AI-generated story, to trick all of us into thinking that this structure isn't from the previous civilization. We get the nod. Yet Peter and Paul Cathedral has seen its share of tragic events, including numerous fires. If you don't understand how ChatGPT operates, I will show you right now. All I need to do is put the basic things that I want in there. Remember, if I can do this, then just imagine what can be done. All we have to do is tell the AI basic things that we all need in the story. I wrote that we need a hypothetical narrative about a cathedral. I need construction dates that lasted 4 years. I need a destruction story because they all have one, with a savior. And I need a fire story, of course. And the cathedral manages to recover every time. Just like we are shown here, where the cathedral manages to recover every time and retain its former beauty. Place this time period in the 1700s and make it 4 paragraphs. This is how fast our history can be written. And this is how fast a population worldwide can be tricked and manipulated. This technology is not new. And we are now learning this and exposing it to the world. That the narrative that we are all shown in classrooms from day one is, in my opinion, all created just like this. In the early 1700s, the Grand Cathedral began its construction in the heart of a bustling European city, where the townspeople marveled at the design. Construction lasted from 1703 to 1707. Tragedy struck just 5 years later, just like we see every single time in these narratives, when a violent storm comes through and lightning hits the tallest spire. Another nod that we always see. Remember, repetition gives it all away. The system doesn't know any other way. It's not a human. It even gives us a fake character that could now be used for so many other structures in the area. Fixed the place in 1715, and just 16 years later, a fire broke out. It's literally the exact same narrative that we read all over the world, with structures that look so out of place. Now I'm gonna refer to this episode in the future to show everybody just how this works. And like I said earlier, this is just the beginning of this location. We're just getting started today. I wanna show you the inside of this St. Peter and Paul Cathedral that we were just talking about. What do you think? Hammers and chisels? Or advanced technology that we aren't being told about? Kazan, the city in Tatarstan. This may be the location that we have all been searching for. It is at the very minimum, in my opinion, one of the main locations that Tartaria was active. I have said this many times. I believe that this previous civilization, the advanced group of humans, I believe that they were here only a few hundred years ago, and a mass event wiped them all out, with their buildings sitting right here in front of all of our faces and getting a brand new coat of paint on them with brand new narratives and looking so out of place. The Kazan Kremlin includes many old buildings. It is a fortified citadel containing museums and sacred sites. You can see that we are looking at a very important location for this research. We can make an educated guess at this point that this is not everything, and some structures have been removed. This city is filled with griffins. It's basically Griffin Central. or in other words, the center of Tartaria. Kazan, a very interesting place for sure, with Khan's Mosque located within the walls. Some scholars believe that the tower may date back further than the 18th century. This is an admission that they don't know who created this tower, a tower that we know here was created by the previous civilization. This is clear exposure here, if you know what you're looking for. With the legend saying that the tower, that lasts forever, was built by Ivan the Terrible in just 1 week. 1 week! And this thing's here forever. And the tower's construction date is enshrouded in mystery. Are you having fun yet? Can you see that we are correct? Can you see that the truth about where we live is coming? Once you know the truth, that the history that we are all told is not factual information, you can never unsee it. This is incredible. They have no idea who built this. I think they do know who built that. Grand Tartaria. Have we located their central base? A location that scholars won't touch. They won't even pretend to know who created that structure. It's amazing. Now that we've struck gold, let's keep going. Oh, and the tower used to be topped with a griffin. Oh, I mean, double-headed eagle, and was replaced by our civilization. Take a look at this place. This is the headquarters of Donkeys Incorporated /DonkeysInc.com, where they went viral in suite number 3. I want to show you all around a little with a great shot of Donkeys Inc. The horsepower of a steam engine with those wooden wheels and all. We can also see a finder, or a founder, right over here to the right. And of course, the dragon on the side of their helicopter. It's just there for show, of course. All of this built by a population of nobody. 1897, we only had 130,000 people here. Could you even imagine 1800 or 1700? The streets would be empty. Yet we're told within our mainstream narrative that nobody constructed palace after palace, and we all just accepted it for years. Well, that all ends now. Remember that in 1750, nobody was even here in this location. You can just drop the guy down anywhere in this city. Doesn't matter. You can just throw the guy down in this back alley. You can just swing the camera angle around here, and what do you know? Another old world palace pops up. This is the Epiphany Tower. Just take a look at the brickwork on this one. I wish my town would give me one of these. And remember that all of these buildings are just the top. They're just what we can see. They all, most likely, are all interconnected through underground tunnel networks and structures. We've seen this all over the world. And if they're doing it in Chicago, then you know that they're definitely doing it here. It's incredible. It's palace after palace here. You can even see another one behind it. And this building still has its old world bells. In fact, the bells are in nearly every one of these buildings. And what do you guys think of this thing? The Kazan Family Center /Viewpoint, where that's gotta be renamed. It has all kinds of different statues surrounding it, where we all know that this is just art. There weren't actually dragons and griffins. Wait, right? And then of course there's more art of the mainstream mythical creatures all over this thing. I do believe that this is depicting our past, what used to be here. So this is just one city, located within the Republic of Tatarstan, obviously. There's going to be a lot more that we expose in the upcoming episodes. I feel like this location deserves a lot more attention, including the city of Bulgar, with a population of only 8,000 people in 2010. They, of course, get a palace. And I'm not making fun of anybody. I never will. I'm just showing how people in this town live today. We build huts in 2024, yet in the same exact town. This is here. The amount of evolving and advancing going on is -1,000. We are going backwards. So we have the town right here. And now I'm personally convinced after this that we have found modern day Tartaria, and we are going to expose everything in this region. I'm going to go down this road here, and we can continue back on this location, this region, in upcoming episodes. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do that, because right here, there is a gas station. Can you see what that logo is? Can you see that Tartaria may still be here, where it has been hiding in this location and is now ready for us to share it to the world? There are so many buildings in the USA that look so out of place. Structures that we can all go and see. Structures that we have shown are being burned down and destroyed over and over. These are the structures that we have proven on this channel that hold narratives, stories that are clearly written by either a group of people thinking that we are all too dumb to realize that the stories are made up, or they're written by an AI. When you simply look at one building's narrative, you would never notice anything. But when you put hundreds of them together, like we have done here, we all see the patterns, the repetition, the dates, and the rest, all of it. That's going to take the narrative and expose it to the world, showing that these buildings have a much deeper history, showing that the true narrative is that these buildings have all been here much longer than we've all been told, and built by a much more advanced group of people than the donkey riding cowboys of the 1800s. So let's get started. In Mansfield, Ohio, located on 60 South Mulberry Street, we have the St. Peter's Church, where we are told that the first Catholic Mass was celebrated in Mansfield in 1850. Shortly after, Mansfield's Catholic community purchased its first building, a church that was already there. A former Methodist church, and this is where things get very interesting and give it all away, where the parish built its first church in 1870, where it, of course, burned down just 19 years later. And this is very important for anybody new here. We can see with our eyes which buildings look out of place. Buildings that don't belong in the USA, if you were going off the mainstream narrative. Where people, including presidents, were being born in sheds with no bathrooms. Yet, at the same exact time, there are palaces being thrown together right across the street, no problem at all. Over and over, by architects that have no previous training. And there's never a mistake. And then we see nearly every single time this palace-like structure holds the fire narrative, which is a clear pattern, a nod. And we, of course, don't stop there. This is just the beginning of the investigation, because once we see the fire, then we can go deeper. And we see that they built another building right across the street, supposedly. No details on the construction of that one, of course. And then they outgrow it. And this is when the narrative gets exposed. When they tell us that the current structure, the one that's there today, had its cornerstone laid on May 14th, 1911. And due to the First World War, it had delays. And 113 years ago, it only took them 6 years to build this during a world war, which took place between 1914 and 1918. Where 2.8 million men from the USA alone were drafted to go to Europe. And another 2 million men volunteered. With all of this going on, millions of men off fighting in a world war, this structure still gets done in just 6 years. These are the times when the narrative slips these buildings in, when there's a world war going on. And we have shown this, where major financial market crashes and wars are the perfect time to throw brand new narratives into existing buildings. We have shown this in New York City in episode 77, with no internet, and everybody's distracted with the major event going on in the world at that point. Who is running to the library to go check these buildings' narratives? Who's doing that? The answer is nobody. Nobody is going to the library and checking these narratives. This is the perfect time to switch up the story. And now it's time to take this even further when we see that the architect was supposedly William P. Ginther. His architectural career starts off all because he reportedly drew a comic valentine for a girl, where Frank Weary, then Akron, Ohio's leading architect, just happened to be in the room. And he saw this comic valentine. So he hires him based on this comic valentine, if you can believe it. This is the story that we're given. This is the beginning of his story. So we already know this story is ridiculous. Why was this Frank just following him around? Just waiting for the perfect opportunity to see him drawing something and hiring someone based on a comic valentine and then turning them into a master architect. This is a very standard practice back then. Yes, your Valentine comic is perfect and I just happened to be behind you when you were drawing it. Now come with me. And I always love looking into these characters because they pin them as the guy who created so many other old world palaces all over the place. Just like we see here. 45 churches in Ohio alone, 18 other churches in other states, 10 residences, 28 schools, 8 academies, and even 3 hospitals. And you can see that these were no comic sketches. Take a look at this building, including the Basilica of St. Andrew in Virginia, where it was thrown together in just 24 months, as the legend goes. He's also pinned to this one, the Immaculate Heart of Mary Church, located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Let's see how long this one took to build. If they just would have told us like 8 to 10 years, then fine. I would have a hard time having any argument at all. But the problem is that they tell us the cornerstone was laid in July 1904 and completed in 1905. So the whole thing is just done. This is a massive flaw in the narrative. We have proved, in my opinion, of course, in episode 41, that this timeline would have been impossible. Nobody is constructing anything like this in a year from 1904 to 1905, especially when we were told that William P. Ginther, the supposed architect, was off building 109 other structures around the USA. 1 year, 120 years ago. Are you sure? So 1904 and 1905, William P. Ginther should have been overseeing his comic masterpiece, getting the thing done in like a year, perfectly. Well, instead of being in Pittsburgh, he was back in Ohio, building this church the same exact year. Now, I'm not saying that this guy wasn't real. I'm simply suggesting that he was used as a pawn and placed into these narratives, used as the front guy to explain away 109 structures in the USA that did not resemble the construction at the time. You know, the classic wooden shed style. I'm going to take this a step further and try to blow your mind. We were told that Ginther was pinned as the guy that got the St. Columbia Church done, where we were told that it was destroyed by a fire in 1954. So I found it. And just take a look at this place. And it's no wonder it was destroyed. This did not belong in Youngstown, Ohio. It did not fit into the narrative at all. And you can see that the skies are all blanked out in these pictures, clearly edited. You can't even see the top of the structure here. And check this one out. Look at the pole. It's so over the top and 100% doesn't fit in with what we are all told about the past. Here's a photo of inside the place. It's just incredible. I know we have located the fire narrative now, and we are all witnessing them happening live today. But I always think, what have we missed over the years? Could you even imagine growing up in 1890? Every single building on the block must have been insane. In my opinion, nobody from our civilization built this. I believe there was a massive civilization here, where we all live today, that were not riding around on donkeys and carriages. I believe they were wiped out by a mass event, and everything was reset back to the horse and wagon era. And this is why All of these buildings are so out of place and need to be demolished so that the narrative that we're all told makes total sense. And now I'm going to show you the comparison to what was given to us by the comic guy and what we are given today. I think this comparison right here is just shocking. To me, it's undeniable proof that we are not moving forward. We are not advancing. This is clear proof, in my opinion, that there was a group here that fully understood how to construct palaces all over the world. There is something massive missing from our textbooks. What we are told does not make sense at all. It's just incredible. I could look at the comparisons from the old world to our world all day long. It couldn't get any more obvious that the history that we are given is not the truth, at least in my eyes. So let's go even deeper. According to CatholicEcho.org, we are told that nearly 70 years ago, the cathedral was destroyed by fire during a late evening storm, because storms just light any random stone building on fire. No. So we can see when we are all here to document what is going on. This takes 4 years to put a new one together. We have seen so many times that the 1800s would burn a building down and 4 months later, the new one is there. No problem at all. So I'm so glad that they're showing us the truth in this article, that you have to account for the old building's demolition project, the one that was destroyed. It takes time to remove these ones and then put the new one in. On stcolumbacathedral.org, we get a backstory that gives even more away, where they tell us that this church that burned down was not even the original, if you can believe it. Where the first building was erected in 1853, a second church was built in 1868, and then a larger one in 1897. So who constructed these previous churches? How long did they take to build? Where did the materials come from? Which donkey led the way? We will never know, of course. So this one that is here today, we are all told, is the fourth church on this site. Again, another pattern in the narrative. And we're just getting started on William P. Ginther, the comic drawing master architect, when we have found another comparison of what he supposedly drew up and got done and what is there today. The Holy Name Cathedral, located in Ohio, was found in 1885. And take a look at this place. We are told that they destroyed it and changed it in 1957. Take a look at this. It looks like a completely different building. What do you think? It looks like they just knocked the old one down and built this one. And it looks terrible now, in comparison, if we're just being honest. And I want to show you something pretty interesting. Right here, within the database, we see that there are buildings that we will never find a photo of from the past, where this Sharadsville, Sacred Thirst, in Carroll County, was supposedly destroyed by a thunderstorm. It was found in 1883 and destroyed in 1899 or 1900. One of the two, but they can't seem to remember, of course. And then rebuilt in a year and renamed. And we've seen this so many times, where they rename it to mix the narrative up so that you'll never find it again. Same thing here. Destroyed in 1838 by fire, where they changed the name again to Saint Michael, the Archangel. Again, in Athens County, found in 1845, destroyed by fire. Neff's Sacred Heart, found in 1905, destroyed 5 years later by a tornado. So let's get back to William P. Ginther, because there's more. According to the Cleveland Landmarks Commission, I have found his building list, and I have found the dates that they were supposedly constructed. And I have also found that the St. Mary Catholic Church that is pinned to his name, reminder, it's a church. And this is now the second time in our research that we have seen a church located at 666 South Main Street, Akron, Ohio. What an interesting address for a church. In 1888, we are told that he begins knocking out palace-like structures. St. Bernard's School, where we were told it was in 1888. and now the narrative has messed up and exposed itself. 1888 in the government documents, where we have located a postcard stating that construction began in 1902, with the architect being William P. Ginther. And this was his first project, a massive structure in 1888. His first 5 projects are demolished, and he knocked 3 buildings out in his first 2 years, which is ridiculous in itself. And I'm gonna show you these structures that are still standing, that are pinned to this William P. Ginther guy. St. Mary, Mother of the Redeemer Church, located in Norwalk, Ohio. And here's its cornerstone. Do you think they've already opened that thing up? I bet that isn't the original cornerstone, if I had to take a guess, based on things that we've seen in recent episodes. Here's the inside at night, and here it is on the outside. Take a look at that cornerstone. We can see that it's a completely different color from the rest of the building. I'm gonna take a guess. They definitely opened that thing up. And then threw that 1889 date right on the side. It's unbelievable. It's incredible when you know what to look for. We can all spot it right away now. And it looks like they've been busy knocking things down at this site as well in 2008. So we all know how important it is to go and see these sites, as they are just destroying them over and over. And that's why this research is so important. Making sure that everybody is aware of these buildings, going and seeing them for yourself, and understanding that they all hold a much different past than what we are told. And these structures completely expose the mainstream history. And they know this. We need everybody to understand this so that all the fire and the demolition projects stop. So now we have confirmation that he was busy constructing 10 different palace-like structures in the year of 1905 alone. Can you believe this? Let's check these things out. St. Bernard Church. This is insane. Take a look at the inside of this one. William P. Ginther. What a guy. And what have we found here? A massive moment for this research. Another confirmation that this cornerstone was opened, blessed, and rededicated by Bishop Anthony Pilla in June of 2002. Can you believe this? It's obvious that the cornerstone, the first stone placed in construction, is not the stone that is pictured here. And this is just telling us that they located the actual stone and removed what was inside of it. Can you believe that they actually made a plaque to tell all of us that they did this in 2002? This is incredible. If anybody has any valuable information on the cornerstones and what is inside of them, please let me know. What are they removing from inside of these cornerstones over and over? So the same year, 1905, we have the St. Bernard's Rectory. Looks like these two are attached to each other. Another incredible structure where this thing definitely goes underground level. It looks like a castle. Same year, 1905, we have the St. Michael's Church. Can you believe that we're told that this is all in the same year, 1905? Palace after palace. St. Joseph's Church, another castle church with a perfect side-by-side comparison with our perfect upgraded plastic siding versus the old world. And then he had to hop on his Model T and construct the St. Mary Catholic Church in Pennsylvania. Take a look at our ramp, how it goes up sometimes and stays flat other times, with those wooden support beams. And then there's a massive palace church that looks like it's straight out of Walt Disney's dreams. Next, we have the Immaculate Heart of Mary, where we can see how nice our civilization treats their things. Located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm gonna drop the guy down here and show you this place. Remember, all in 1905. And I'm gonna go around the corner here so you can see what this Ginther guy is pinned to. And here it is, the Immaculate Heart of Mary Church. The place that we began this episode off with is unbelievable. And at the same time, he was off being distracted by the St. Anne Catholic Church in Erie, Pennsylvania. And this thing is straight out of Tartaria.com. Can you believe that these things were all being thrown together at the same exact time, the same year, by the same guy? Yeah, me either. I'd love to see this one in person. Check this picture out. This building is incredible. Did we just find another narrative slip up? When you lie, it's tough to keep your story straight. When we're told that this church was constructed in 1905, what's going on here? Where the church's website is telling us that it was established in 1894, predating this 1905 date by 9 years. All of this information has been sitting right here for everyone to see. All we had to do was look. And now that we have, we will never be able to unsee these lies, these patterns. There's no going back, especially when we see the next two structures, pinned to Ginther, were demolished. The St. Anne Roman Catholic Orphanage, because we know they didn't need those anymore. Episode 52. And the St. Vincent de Paul Orphan Asylum. Again, episode 52. Both in Cleveland, Ohio, with the second one demolished in 2007. Now, it's one thing to say that all of these buildings was a career's worth of construction. But to say that these buildings, all of them, were all built in a single summer fling, just throwing palace after palace after palace together in multiple states, 119 years ago, all in the same year. This is not logical, and we all need to realize this now. We are told that between 1902 and 1907, 5 years, that William P. Ginther was busy constructing a total of 50 palace-like structures. And so I'm going to ask you again, do you think that he constructed 50 palaces in just 5 years? Are we sure that what we've all been told in the storybooks isn't just a lie?